What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Word here with an excellent StarCraft 2 game that promises to be a lot of fun. It's going to be PVZ spawning in the upper right of Daybreak, the red Protoss, playing for FX Open Esports. He is BabyKnight. And his opponent, spawning on the opposite side of Daybreak, a Liquid Zerg who has been making a huge splash in Heart of the Swarm, so that we know this is going to be an amazing game. His opponent, the Blue Zerg, Liquid Red. It feels so good to be casting. Oh my goodness. Now, I know it's been a little while since I've put a VOD up, but rest assured I've been casting. I cast 2 to 3 times a week for various organizations, Clarity Gaming, IVD Gaming, and I'm also going to be starting to cast the Underrated Team League. That's going to be every Friday, for me specifically. I'm going to go into more detail, but I personally will be casting with my buddy Muatarin every Friday at 7 p.m. Coming up this Friday, that's going to be Clarity versus Dust. And if you're not familiar with the URTL, it's the Underrated Team League. A terrific team league thrown together. Or, well, thrown together makes it sound like it's a shoddy operation. It's absolutely awesome. Put together by, of course, Team Underrated Gaming, as it were. Hosted, or headed by Hand from Above, just doing an awesome job. So make sure to tune in. Actually going to be casting 5 nights a week, Monday through Friday, for all of these excellent games. So it's a lot of games, a lot of teams. We have, I think, 42 teams involved. We got teams like, let's see, Clarity, Dust, as I mentioned. We got Impulse, we got Soviet Gaming, we got Underrated Gaming. There's so many. There are actually so many. So check out the Underrated Gaming site. You can see the whole list of teams, all the groups there. It's going to be actually really awesome. Make sure to tune in Friday at 7 p.m. The actual stream, I don't have those details at the moment. I will go ahead and tweet them, so make sure to follow me on Twitter at CWordcast. Get all that information, because that is where the big updates come from, folks. I'm only putting these VODs up about once a week, but if you want to see what I'm doing when I'm doing it, make sure to follow me on Twitter if you want to see some more casting of mine. But talking about this game, talking about this map, well, let's first point out we have BabyKnight going here for a Gateway expansion. Rhett, meanwhile, just going hatch pool, getting a quick gas, though. So that's something we definitely want to talk about in a little bit. But right now, BabyKnight going for this Gateway expand, very normal. It's not a weird thing. Force Fast expand still very common in Heart of the Swarm PvZ. It's still a good build. There's nothing necessarily inferior about it. And you've got the Mothership Core, so you can get away with a whole lot. But this will allow you to do, just a few more pressures quicker. I don't need to belabor that point. Faster Gateway means faster tech. We'll just leave it at that. But the options are many. So we'll have to see what he does. Now, Rhett here is actually opening up for a gas. This would not surprise me if he pulled out and it was just a speed opening. We've been seeing a lot of Protoss or Zergs do this because Protoss will pressure with a Mothership Core. And they will usually have a single Zealot, maybe 2, sometimes even 3 Stalkers. And that can get a little bit scary. So you want to have speed to try to deal with that. And of course, you can't deal with the Mothership Core too well, but as long as you have the speedlings to kill the units on the ground, the Queen can go ahead and take that Mothership Core on one-on-one. So it's not too harsh. Looks like Red is going to pull out, just going to have just enough for speed. So he wants to have a little bit of map control, but mostly it's the security, especially against a Gateway opening like this. If we take a look here, I mean, obviously Red has scouted, knows exactly what's going on. You need that speed. If your opponent decides to come up with a 4-gate, 5-gate, 6-gate, +1, that sort of thing, without speed, you're certainly going to be doomed. Any kind of early 4-gate pressure, I mean, slowlings are the absolute opposite of what you want to deal with that sort of thing. I'd almost rather throw drones in the battle. So Red here is going to be very safe. He's still going to take his fast third, though. Now, a lot of Zergs will be like, okay, my opponent is Gateway expanding. I need to hold on 2 bases for a little while, at least till I get Roaches out, but not Ret. He's going to go for the expansion. Daybreak, it's relatively easy to defend for the Zerg. I mean, it's not a huge rush distance. There's only one spot the Protoss is going to be coming from to attack that third, and that is almost certainly where they are going to be attacking because it's the most vulnerable point. And we're going to see the Mothership Core come out. Rhett is going to get full vision of that coming out, though. And usually where the Mothership Core goes, some units are going to follow. BabyKnight, however, actually has not scouted at all, so he's not going to be aware of any kind of speed from Rhett. If he does move out with a few units, he could get a very nasty surprise, as speed is just about to finish right now. But it looks like he's playing it safe. He knows that most Zergs will respond to this with speed. And, I mean, seriously, if he moved out, all it's going to take is 15 speedlings. Everything he has will be dead. So good on BabyKnight to stay back. He's going to bring the Mothership Core out here, get some scouting off. Going to be able to take a look at this third, but the Queen is going to chase this Mothership Core away. It's a good bit of scouting information. Not going to be able to do a whole lot with it, but he's not looking for the damage. He's playing a pretty passive game. How is he going to follow up this gateway expand? Will it be some gateway pressure? Looks like adding 2 gas that pretty much takes away the option of gateway pressure. Usually if you want to go for a 7, well, not necessarily pressure, but an all-in, I guess is what I'm looking at. If you want to go 7, 8 gates, you don't need that gas. It's just a waste of money. Unless you're mixing a lot of sentries in there, which is pretty unheard of. So we're going to have to see exactly what BabyKnight wants to do. Rhett, meanwhile, Roach Warren is up. Looking very standard from the Zerg perspective here. We have a lair getting started at a pretty good time as well. It's a relatively passive game. We see some Zealots and Sentries moving out. Now, if you want to deal with Speedlings at all, no, not the best force field from BabyKnight. Is going to let most of these Zerglings get away. But if you want to deal with Speedlings, Zealot Sentry is pretty much the best thing you can have, barring Colossus, so that's not too bad at all. It's going to force Rhett to make a few Roaches here as well, since BabyKnight is moving out. So he's trying to put a little bit of a pressure on his opponent, and we also got to remember that with this Mothership Core, he has the ability to recall. So a lot of the times when you go into Shark mode like this, you might be sacrificing your army. You kind of have to invest a lot in it. But likely what's going to happen here is BabyKnight's going to see, you know, the 7, 8 Roaches that Rhett has made. He's just going to recall out of there, save his sentries, and he's going to be pretty happy about it. Oh my goodness, this Overlord barely surviving. Almost makes me wish BabyKnight would just warp in a single Stalker over there at home to deal with it. Now here's the thing, Rhett sees this army, he sees no probes, so he knows it's not a huge investment, and BabyKnight is definitely going to have to do a recall or some force fields or something. Looks like he loses 1 sentry there, but not too bad. Look how many units he forced out of Rhett there. Rhett is the king of drones, man. He just wants those to be drones. Meanwhile, we have a Hallucinated Phoenix going to get some full scouting off on BabyKnight. Or not on BabyKnight, I'm sorry, on Rhett for BabyKnight. And Rhett is forced to counterattack with these units that he's made. But BabyKnight's got a solid wall here, got some sentries, got the Mothership Core. No Photon Overcharge quite yet, but he's fine. So a lot of units forced out of Rhett, and that's going to make BabyKnight feel pretty good. We do have a Spire on the way here, which is a great choice on Daybreak. Really, really easy to abuse any kind of third base taken from the opponent. There's a lot of places to fly in, so I definitely love the choice of Mutas from Rhett. It's going to be very fun. It's going to be a very fun game. God, this Mutalisk is so good. Behind this, he's taking a 4th, and he can't really pressure with these Roaches. I mean, because this is what's going to happen. They'll get force fielded, they'll get taken out, although BabyKnight might be adventuring a little bit far here. Forced to use actually quite a bit of force fields. It's almost all the force fields he has. In fact, he does not have a force field left, at least not for the next few seconds. Forced to throw down the Photon Overcharge. We got +2 weapons on the way here. He's going to scare Rhett back, but BabyKnight got a little forward there. Now what I was saying is Rhett can't really push into here because of the force fields, because of the soon-to-be immortal, because of the Photon Overcharge, etc. What he can do is prevent his opponent from moving out. Mass Sentry isn't really what you want to use to, like, move out here. Once you have your third base secured and you've got it locked down, sentries are great, but you're not going to be able to bust out of a contain with them. They are actually usually for the opposite of that. So he's going to need this Immortal out. Once it is out, Rhett should be scared away. He's trying to find a window here, but with this Immortal is going to be taken care of. But now we have 8 Mutalisks coming out, and this could be tough to deal with. However, BabyKnight, he's got his Blink on the way. He's got +2. Both these things are about to finish very quickly. The gateway count right now up to a total of 1. How many? Where is it? Okay, we're going to have a total of 5 gateways coming up soon. It looks like he's adding in 2 Stargates here, so he did get the scout on that Spire. With this Observer, the Mutalisks are confirmed, and he is going to respond to that with those dual Stargate Phoenix. A great response. You got to be careful though, because it's very easy to fall into the trap of, okay, my opponent makes 15 Mutalisks, I'm going to make a ton of Phoenixes, and then you're left with like 12 Phoenixes while your opponent switches into Swarm Host. It's very scary. It's something that a lot of players are doing, and we are seeing Rhett get a Hydra Den, so he's not going for a mass Muta situation. He's going to fly in here, try to get some damage done. BabyKnight going to blink underneath those Mutalisks and scare them away. Right now the Mutalisk count is at 13 with 5 more on the way, so Rhett is investing pretty heavily. Double Stargate Phoenix is actually going to be quite useful. And I don't want to make it seem like going double Stargate is just a horrible thing to do. It's not. It's always good to have 6 or 8 Phoenix in general, especially, I mean, if you're opening with a Stargate play, but even if you kill the Mutas, you still got all these Phoenixes left over, they're useful. They pick off infestors. You can use them to snipe Vipers or absorb some Corruptor shots. They're great. But also, having this infrastructure up is going to make it a lot easier to get into that Void Ray or Tempest composition later in the game. But will that happen as Rhett is coming in here with a strong attack? Will BabyKnight be able to hold the Army Supply right now in favor of Rhett? 88 to 52. Speedling is trying to come in. Some good force fields from BabyKnight. This is a great position for the Protoss player, but the Mutalisk damage is going unhindered. There's not quite a good Phoenix count in order to deal with this. Looks like we have a Fleet Beacon on the way here as well to get those Andean Pulse Crystals, but the Zerg army is just not dying. BabyKnight is going to be forced to cancel this third, and he's also going to lose almost all of his army. All he has left is these Phoenixes, and he can try to be cute with them with the Mutas, but against, how many Mutas is this? 14 Mutalisks? I mean, you can, hypothetically speaking, kill them with the Phoenixes, but it's just not quite going to be worth the micro. Chrono boosting Phoenixes out of 2 Stargates, though. We'll get them up pretty quickly. Now the attack is coming in again. Rhett is smashing into this wall. The Phoenix is doing good damage, though, and the ground force isn't particularly huge. It's not going to be enough to focus down this wall very quickly. Do we have any Hydralisks on the field quite yet? No. We do have the Hydra range on the way, though. Do we have that speed finished? That is a no also. So right now, Red is going to pull back. He's got 5 bases up. His drone count is at 90. He is in the perfect position for a Zerg. And now we're on 14 minutes, and BabyKnight does not have a 3rd base. What BabyKnight does have is a decent Phoenix count, up to 6 Phoenixes now. But as I said earlier, I mean, the Zerg could just switch out. We saw Rhett make, wow, 24 Mutilas. He even made more. I was going to say, I didn't think he invested too much into it, but it's actually quite a bit of resources here. So the Phoenix count for BabyKnight is good. But honestly, at this point, I mean, he's been put back economy-wise so much. Even though this is the right choice here, how's he going to deal with these Hydralisks? It's a tough question. Might not have an answer because he doesn't... Ooh, Hydralisk managing to pick off a Phoenix there. It's actually huge for Rhett. Going to make these Mutalisks more and more effective. And Mutalisk, Hydralisk, it's a scary composition. It's a scary composition for a Zerg, or a Protoss rather, who's on 2 bases. Just now trying to get that 3rd up, trying to keep the Mutas at bay with his Phoenixes here. Unfortunately, picking up Roaches while the Mutas fly into his main. 24 Mutalisks wreaking havoc on this mineral line. We've got 19 workers killed. Total probes left is 46. Meanwhile, the rest of the army is flooding into the natural. BabyKnight's army completely out of position. Now the Zerg army is going to unite. Can BabyKnight deal with it? The Phoenix is not here to deal with these Mutalisks. They just spread right on top of everything. Take out the whole ground army before the Phoenixes are actually able to get here and help. Meanwhile, the wall is being torn down at the front. These Hydralisks, there's just nothing that BabyKnight can do about them. And with the Mutalisks flying in to pick off any reinforcements out of his Stargates, this could be the end for BabyKnight in this game. Phoenix is lifting up these Hydralisks, though. He's trying to do as much damage as he can. If he can get rid of those Hydras, there's not going to be anything left to kill these Phoenixes because the Mutas can be dealt with quite easily. Looks like the ground army will clean this up. The 3rd base still standing. That's something definitely worth taking note of. We have 22 more Hydralisk pathogen glands. We got a Hive on the way as well. Rhett is not all in with that attack at all. He's been transitioning out of it. He's been macroing behind it because he is a damn good player and he knows exactly what he's doing. Now, the Mutalisk count has been whittled down to 13, almost half that he had before. And that's going to let BabyKnight breathe a little bit easier. And BabyKnight knows it. This is so good by BabyKnight. He's not still producing Phoenixes. He saw that the Mutalisk ball didn't get massive, and he saw that the Hydralisks were getting mixed in, so it's unlikely that Rhett is going to continue making Mutalisks. So he doesn't need to invest anything else into that tech, because Phoenix tech is really only good against Mutas. Anything more than that, maybe you can pick up a couple of Infestors, but it's not going to be game-breaking. But now the Hydras here are going to be the huge damage dealers. Phoenix is dealing good damage to the Mutas, but these Hydras, there's so many Hydralisks outside the 3rd. Doesn't look like there's a Mothership Core here to get the Photon Overcharge either, which would be a huge help. And without splash damage of some kind, without Storm, without Colossi, looks like a small flank here from Rhett. These Hydras cannot be dealt with. GG, well played. And Rhett is going to take this game on Daybreak. Very, very nicely. Just a good choice of tech. BabyKnight was kind of taken aback by the amount of units that Rhett had. And since he wasn't able to get this 3rd up, he really wasn't able to spread his money out to the point where he can get that splash damage tech since he had to invest so much into that Stargate. And we saw Rhett just roll over him. A good decision with this Hydralisk because he knew what kind of economic position his opponent was in. So good game. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Make sure to tune in Friday evening, 7 p.m. I'll put the stream in the description once I actually do get that. And, of course, make sure to follow me on Twitter at CWordcast for all those updates and infos about my stream.